Hi everyone, my name is Shez and I'm from onebitemore. This is my very first video blog and I'm really excited to bring it to you. We are going to be making some basic steamed dumplings today, and we're going to start off by making the dumpling wrappers. What I've done is I've measured about 200 grams of plain flour and added a pinch of salt, and I've taken out about maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of it, because what we want to do is not incorporate all of it to start with, so that we don't incorporate too much flour when we're rolling it out. Hopefully this makes a bit more sense later. So we start by putting most of the flour into a bowl and adding hot water. Now I've got about 75 mils of boiling water here, and we're just going to add it in two batches. Let's do 2 batches. So first batch in, and just grab a pair of chopsticks and stir fairly vigorously to incorporate it. Once that's incorporated, stick the rest of it in and stir fairly vigorously again. And the reason we use hot water is because it helps the gluten to develop, which makes for a more stretchy dough, which is really, really important when you're trying to roll and stretch these dumpling wrappers out. I've got another 25 mils of water sitting here in this cup with 2 teaspoons of oil. And now that that's mostly incorporated, if you can just take a look in there, it's starting to clump up. We're going to put the rest of this water in with the oil, and we're just going to keep stirring with the chopsticks to incorporate as much of the flour in as we can. Now this dough will be quite warm because of the hot water. Now when it all starts clumping together a little bit and looking like it's going to form a really nice dough, so it should be about this stage, we are just going to move everything aside and start to knead the dough out. Now let's use the rest of about half of the rest of our flour to just flour this bench top here. And this is what I was talking about before. We don't want to incorporate too much of the flour in the original mix, because otherwise when we're dusting the bench top and kneading the dough, we're going to be adding more flour than is originally called for in the recipe. So just squish the dough together with your hands in the bowl and tip it out onto the bench top. Okay, so what I've done is I've finished kneading that, and we've got a really, really nice, soft, stretchy dough, and I've put it in the fridge for half an hour just so that it can cool down, the gluten can settle, and we can stretch it back out again. I ended up using all of the flour that we'd set aside and rolling it out, so now I've just got a little bit extra. I'm just going to spread that out on the bench top and roll this dough out into a sausage shape. Now we want to keep it as even as possible because we're going to be forming our rounds from this dough. So I'll just start rolling it out like this. And just stretching it as we go. We want it to be probably about a couple of centimeters in diameter when we're finished with it, and just as even as possible. Okay, now they've got a nice long roll, we're going to cut it into about 20 pieces. So the easiest way to do this is just with a nice sharpish knife, making sure not to make any dents in your mother's countertop, and to split in half again, and then to just go into 5s from there. Okay, so what I've been doing is cutting each of the little balls out, and I've managed to get about 6 from each quarter, so about 24 from the total amount of dough. And I've just been flattening them into puck shapes like this. Now we've used quite a lot of flour. Just put it down, grab your little rolling pin, and I'm just going to do this a couple of times to show you. And we're just pushing out from the middle to the edge, rotating as we go. And once we've done one side, flip it over, get a bit more flour on the other side, and just do the same to the other side. And in doing this, you'll get a nice, even wonton gaoji dumpling wrapper that's nicely flat on both sides. Now I'm just using a round cutter to cut them out and make them even more even. And you'll see here that what I've done is stacked them, and they've got flour in between each wrapper, and they're under a piece of glad wrap just so they don't dry out. So down that goes. Just going to do a few more. Okay, so here's our last one, which is actually quite wonky. Do this. Okay, now you'll have a whole heap of dough left over. What you can do is you can re-roll it out and make more wrappers. I'm just going to put it to one side for the moment. If you do that, you'll need to knead it together. It'll be a little bit stickier than before because it's had that extra flour incorporated into it. So it's up to you as to whether you use that dough or you stick to the ones that you've already made with your first cup. Okay, so what I've done is I've rolled out all of my dumpling wrappers and I've just prepared a quick filling, which is made up of 500 grams of pork mince. I have about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a couple teaspoons of sesame oil, salt, pepper, and I've used about 2 tablespoons of corn flour as well, just to bind the mixture together, and chopped through some shallots. Now just grab your dumpling wrapper in one hand, and everyone's got different ways of doing this. And this is just my way of doing it, and it's not a particularly pretty way, so if you've got your own way, please use that instead. Put a little bit of pork mince in the middle, and just wet your finger and run it along half of the outside edge. We are just going to fold it over, squishing the edges together and trying to squeeze out any air pockets. So you'll get a little dumpling like that. Now in order to get the pleat, all you need to do is this, and I'm just going to bring it a bit closer. Grab your thumb, pinch the end with your thumb and your finger, and pinch right next to it, and just push. So your index finger pushes the pleat over and squishes. That's the way I fold my dumplings. Again, there are so many different ways of doing it. Mine isn't the most attractive way of doing it, but it works and it keeps the dumplings together. So I'm just going to do a few more of those and then we're going to stick them in the steamer. Okay, so we folded all the dumplings, we've put them in the steam oven for just under 10 minutes. So I'll just grab them. We'll just let them sit here for a little while, while we make a quick sauce. So to make a dipping sauce, we're going to put in equal quantities of soy and Chinese vinegar. So let's just go 2 of each. And that'll be a nice balance of salty and sour. And then just a couple of drops of sesame oil for flavour and smell. If I can get any out. And finally, I've just got some fresh chilli straight from my dad's garden. He's very proud of them. And we're just going to chop some quickly in here. Not too many or everyone's heads are going to explode when they eat them. Okay, so about half a chili will do. If you like, you can put some dried chili flakes in, but I've got the fresh chili, so that won't be necessary. Serving dish, and we're just going to pull 2 or 3 of these gorgeous little dumplings into the bottom of this plate. There we go. Drizzle some of this lovely dressing on top, making sure to get a little bit of the chili. And there we have it. Fresh made dumplings with the skin, and they've just got pork and chive in them. They're absolutely fantastic. Hope you enjoy.